What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So let's start this video with Wesley Weezers taking a shot at Ramon in his recent Q&As. So this question was obviously asked by one of Ramon fans, but Wesley had to fire back and put it out there for the world to see that he isn't messing around and he means business. So Wesley has been looking absolutely incredible throughout this offseason after this year's Arnold. And just because he was able to stay so damn lean, even at the peak of his off-season weight, which by the way was 280 pounds. So with just a few weeks into the prep, he looks crazy detailed right now, and he's righted everywhere. So with Chris Bumstead being the most dominant champion at Miss Olympia for the last 5 years, it is gonna be extremely hard to dethrone him this year. Especially the way he has been so focused throughout this year, and very conscious about taking care of his body. So if he comes in at his all-time best, which he intends to do, he is gonna be next to impossible to beat. I mean, the guy has structural superiority over all these other guys. Ramon, Wesley Weezers, Orskrashinsky, everyone. He is the standard for classic physique. So the real battle, that is gonna be between Wesley Weezers and Ramon, and that is gonna be for the second place. Because Ramon that showed up at this year's Arnold and got beat by Wesley Weezers, that wasn't his all-time best, and he still was good enough to beat all the other guys. So there was only a 1-point difference between Ramon and Wesley at this year's Arnold. So the Olympia 2024 is gonna be the decider on who really is the next in line to carry the torch after Sibam retires. So we all have a reason to believe that this will be Ramon at his all-time best. He has never started the Olympia prep so early, and that loss at this year's Arnold, that was sort of like a wake-up call for him, and that was to never underestimate your competition. Because if it was the Olympia version of Ramon at the Arnold 2024, I am sure he would have won that show. So Ramon also has been training extremely hard and heavy throughout this prep, and he looks to be in a great shape for 8 weeks out. So Ramon is also one of those guys who finds it very hard to make the classic physique weight cutoff. He has to suffer extremely hard and lose some muscle in order to do that. So I am pretty sure that they will definitely try to get him ready as soon as possible. So if this is in fact Chris Bumstead's last year as a classic physique competitor, then Ramon-Wesley rivalry for classic physique Olympia title, that is gonna be there for years to come, because both these guys have no intentions of retiring anytime soon. So Ramon versus Wesley at 8 weeks out, who do you guys have in the lead? Next up we have an update from the Nigerian line, Samson Wesley. So Samson quads are just out of this world. They are so damn massive, and he has insane separation in his legs. And that is one of the major reasons that gives him an edge over all his competition. So he is definitely pushing for more conditioning this time. I mean, it is very plain and simple, and he knows that if the judges did not give him the title at this year's Arnold Classic UK, they came in a lot more separated and a lot more detailed than ever before, then that was a clear sign for him to dig even deeper and bring an even more better conditioning the next time he steps on stage. And that is gonna be at the Olympia stage in 8 weeks time from now. So Samson too has made some great improvements in this offseason. And that is in fact what makes him so great at what he does. From one show to the next, he somehow makes crazy amount of improvements, and that too every single time. So almost everyone has noticed those changes that he has been able to make in his back since this year's Arnold. And that was just within a few weeks of off-season. Because we have to keep in mind, Samson took 8 weeks off after this year's Arnold to detox his system, and he actually does that after every major contest to get some rest and recover. And then he starts his off-season afterwards. So since 2021, which was the breakout year for Samson, when he won his first ever pro show, Samson has not taken a full off-season to solely focus on getting bigger to grow. And the man still is one of the biggest bodybuilders out there right now. So Samson needs to be in condition, especially the one that judges want to see on him. The conditioning that we have never seen on him before. So 8 weeks out of this year's Miss Olympia, and he looks to be in a very comfortable spot. So the tall guy battle between Samson Wesley and Andrew Jacked, that is gonna be also a great one this year. Next up we have an update from Brett Wilkin, getting a feedback from his coach Matt Jensen as he gets ready for this year's Legion Sports. So once again clarifying, that Legion Sports is an Olympia qualifier for 2025, not this year. And Matt and Brett have planned this very nicely, because this is gonna allow him to take the maximum advantage of another long off-season before he starts getting ready for his Olympia debut next year. So right now it looks like Brett Wilkin is back to his original size that he had back in 2022, when he was prepping for his Olympia debut last year. So his coach Matt Jensen believes that Brett has made some great improvements this year as well. And these two guys, Martin and Brett, they train very hard and heavy. There is no joking around during their training sessions. And Brett is also a very dedicated individual to the sport of bodybuilding. And we are expecting him to show up with a much better physique than what we saw from him back in 2022 at the Big Man Weekend, because that was his last show. Now, all that being said, the Legend Sports isn't going to be an easy show to win, because it is scheduled just 2 weeks before this year's Miss Olympia. So it is very much possible that some of these guys who are getting ready for this year's Miss Olympia, they might also jump into that show to get their Olympia spot for 2025 as early as possible. So back in 2022, guys like Andre Presti, they decided to do the Big Man Weekend a week before the Olympia. And Presti was actually doing the Olympia as well. So most of these guys are almost ready at 4 weeks out of the Olympia. But the thing is, we cannot expect the big names to show up here, because they're trying to peak for just one show. So we definitely expect Patrick Moore to show up here at the Legend Sports as well. So he has been prepping for months now. And it will be really interesting to see how he compares to the Butcher. So Vlad is another guy who might do the Legend Sports as well as UK Pro. So Vlad has stayed in a great shape after this year's Tampa Pro. And the look that he brought this year to both Tampa Pro and Chicago Pro stage, that was the best of his career. And that will be extremely formidable at both these shows. And do not forget about the Brazilian mass monster, Willam Marttin, who posted another physique update, practicing some more variations of that front double biceps. And he might do UK Pro and the Legend Sports as well. So William is limited. Because of his structural flaws, he has a very wide waistline. He has to be really picky when choosing these shows. So he has to pick a show more strategically, where the competition isn't very high. So there is so much mass on this guy. But the thing is, he doesn't appear to be the biggest guy on the stage, just because he's unable to create that illusion of having that V-taper and having that X-frame. And that just really goes to show us how important it is to have a really nice tapering waist, especially at that level. So Nihat Kaya, the 22 years old IFB Pro, who turned a lot of heads at his pro debut at this year's Dubai Pro by placing second behind Angel Calderon, he makes a very wise move to end the season. So he was able to be top 212 Olympian in Dubai Pro. And although he was unable to win that show, but he got some great exposure. So why that is a reasonable decision to rest and recover is simply because he is so young and he has such a bright future as a 212 competitor. And this was a really long prep for him. Now the thing is, if he continued to push, he would have definitely secured his Olympia spot, because there were still a lot of shows left after this year's Dubai Pro to get your Olympia qualification for 2024. But then he would have had to stay on this protocol for another 10 to 12 weeks, which is kinda risky. So this guy has got such round muscle bellies, a very small waistline, and it is insane to have such muscularity at such an early age, because that is something we rarely see. So this guy is gonna be top 6 in the world next year, and that is without a shadow of a doubt. And keep in mind, that is gonna be his Olympia debut, because right here in Dubai Pro, he was able to beat Nasir Muhammad, who was 7th at the Olympia last year, and he almost beat Angel Calderon, who is top 3 in the world. So just imagine him with another long off season. I mean, the guy does not have any major flaws. He just needs to marinate that muscle. He just needs to get that muscle maturity, because he put on a lot of muscle in the last 1 year. So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video, and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.